Welcome, and thank you for joining Between Sessions with Justin and Challee.
Just a quick disclaimer before we start. This podcast is for educational and conversational purposes only. It's not intended to replace therapy, counseling, or professional mental health care. We are sharing lived experiences and reflections, not prescriptions, and we encourage our listeners to seek professional guidance when needed. Hi, everyone. Welcome back.
Thank you for joining us this week. We are going to be talking about things that you can expect when going to your first therapy session and things not to expect.
Yes, I am so excited for this topic because I don't know if you get this, but after I do an initial appointment with someone, 9 times out of 10, they always leave saying, wow, that was so much different than I expected.
All the time.
And I want to be like, what did you expect?
I think it's so built up in our heads, and I can even speak from this when I had started therapy. Like, even with doing counseling previously, I was really nervous going into my first actual therapy session for myself. So it's really interesting sometimes to hear what people think it's going to be, but then also the fear that prevents them from ever engaging in therapy.
Yes. So, just to paint a picture, we thought we would take a couple minutes and explain specifically what it's like when you come to therapy with us. So, obviously, every therapist is different, but we just kind of wanted to give you a little insight into what it's like meeting us for the first time.
Yeah. So, do you want to go first or do you want me to?
Mm, You can go first.
Okay. So going into our office, spoiler, we work together.
Yes, our offices are right next to each other. So,
So walking in, it is not super clinical. It's not stark white walls. There are fluorescent lights, but you can't really get away from that in most places. But there's carpet. The walls are not white. They're tan. There are some pretty nice chairs in the waiting room. There's some rugs. Like it looks like a normal office or even a little bit more comfortable in like a doctor's office. I think of it's almost similar to like walking into like a reception area
yeah.
of either insurance or I don't know, something that looks nice. With sound machines, that's something that people tend to pick out quickly as they ask what that is. And that's so that we can ensure privacy. So it breaks up the sound. Going in kind of to the office, it's relaxing. I try to make it as relaxing as possible. My office has a lot of color. There's a couch which has been so cool. I've worked in previous, like, very clinical settings where everything was, like, very plasticky and wipeable surfaces, so it made it feel a little bit less comfortable. I have a couch, there's a rug down, there's a comfy chair to sit in. I do have a desk as well, but I try not to sit at the desk when I have in-person appointments. Sometimes I do if I'm looking something up, but overall, I try to sit, like, either across or kinda with wherever the other person wants to. I try to make sure that I am helping someone not feel judged. So I'm like talking to them as we're going down the hallway, making kind of small talk. I don't normally ask how they're doing or how their day is. I save that until we actually get into the appointment. So for me, I have a feelings wheel on the wall. I have a little water fountain that provides some like little extra noise, and I actually have a air diffuser. So I try to have it like smell good as well. I think that can play a part when we're trying to feel comfortable engaging all the different senses. I also have plants in my office, so that has been a cool perk that I've been able to have. Another big one that I kind of forgot to say is that I actually get to bring my dog to the office too now.
yes.
So for people who like dogs, that tends to be a huge plus. I know for me, I really enjoy that. It adds a little bit more comfort to many of the sessions. And side note on that, I have seen people open up with the dog being present by far more than when it was just me. Like, I have had certain people that I've worked with for extended period of time, and then I bring the dog in, and holy moly, they're just pouring everything out. There's something incredible about it. So, in my office specifically, I try to have different motivational quotes. Like, I have a little whiteboard that I change sometimes. I have some different, like, fun toys or fidgets on the coffee table to just have accessible. And I also recently got like some snacks because I'm a therapist that is a-okay with someone coming in and eating, especially if you're hungry or you're thirsty. Like, go ahead, eat in the session. It's yours.
Mhm.
Did I miss anything, do you think?
Yes, your neatos. I'm sitting here
Yeah.
gonna mention the neatos.
That and then some games. That's another thing is like I have some different games to be able to build connection by just playing like some simple games. Like I've played Sorry, Trouble. There's a really cool I Spy search game that Challee had that I stole from her office.
Is it in your office?
Yeah, that's where it is.
Okay, well, good to know.
In our office overall, though, we also have, like, a little playroom for, like, people who, if their, like, sibling is coming to therapy, the parent and sibling or whoever brought them can have a little bit more private space rather than hanging out in the waiting room while they're waiting for the sibling or whoever to, finish their appointment. So
That's so helpful because, like, if you have to bring your 10-year-old to therapy, but obviously you have to bring your 2-year-old with you too, trying to get a
mhm,
2-year-old to sit quietly in a waiting room for 45 minutes to an hour, it's impossible.
yeah.
So that's why I like having the playroom because it's like you guys can just go in here,
Mm,
they can play, they can run around the room, like it's totally fine.
yeah. Alright. So, enough about my office. What about yours?
All right. So my office is always messy. I'm going to be so for real. I also have a desk, but it's like in the corner and I don't use it for sessions unless they're virtual. I have, let's see. So when you walk into my office, before you even walk in, you will see my porch goose. Because I have a porch goose that's like in the hallway right outside my door. Her name's Lucy. And I dress her up depending on the holiday or the season.
The best outfits.
And then you walk in, and one thing you didn't mention is so how I'm dressed now,
Ooh.
like that is exactly how I dress when I go to the office,
In
including
the lack of
the
shoes.
lack of shoes. It is a running joke because I never have shoes on. Okay, I have a pair of slippers in case I have to run to the bathroom because ew. But as long as I'm like inside of our office, if I'm like walking around my office or walking down the hall to Justin's or going to the break room, like I'm barefoot. I do not care. I'm gonna be comfy. Okay. Therapy is hard for both of us. So
Mhm.
so yes, you will see that I am always dressed very relaxed because I just feel like it's important to make other people feel comfortable. And I want to make sure you understand that, like, I'm just a person.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not any like fancy person. I am just a person. Like,
Yeah.
I'm winging life too. So yeah, the way I dress is really important to me.
I appreciate you bringing that part up because that's a part that I completely skipped over where
Mhm.
has been different in other settings that I've worked in. There's been a more strict dress code. And I feel like sometimes it can be off-putting if we're just coming in and, it's our day off coming into therapy that you took the time out of your day. Maybe you don't want to dress to the nines. And if you walk in and your therapist is wearing a power blazer, it'd feel intimidating, I feel like.
For sure. And just my clientele, like I don't know. But actually, funny story. This one time had one appointment and I wasn't sure if it was gonna happen or not. So I was out running errands and I was wearing my like comfort gray sweatpants and a hoodie and I was just like doing my errands or whatever and then I get a text that was like actually yeah, I do want to come. And I'm like, awesome. I don't have time to run home. Okay. So I'm like, I know I dress casual, but I've never gone to work in sweatpants, but I didn't have a choice. I'm like, all right, well, this is what you're going to get then. So I go in and I'm waiting. And don't you know, this person walks in wearing gray sweatpants and a gray hoodie. And
Twinning.
I was like, we're twinning. And it sounds silly, but like that person literally was like, because it was one of their first sessions too. And they were like, "Ha, that's so funny," and then they just got comfy. So yes, when you walk in my office, it is a mess. It's not like I try not to make it overwhelmingly messy, but like my desk is a mess. I don't organize it. You will always find toys on my floor unless you're the first appointment of the day, in which case I try to clean up all the toys, obviously. But as the day goes on, I just get the attitude of like, I'm not cleaning this up. It's gonna end up right back on the floor. So yeah, you might have to step over some toys. I have a big pink fuzzy chair that I sit in and I sit just like this, or I'll sit sideways. I'm getting comfy, okay? But I can see it mirrored back. So like I'll take my shoes off, crisscross applesauce, and just like chill. And I can see that they're
Mhm.
like, "Ooh, can I take my shoes off?" And I'm like, heck
Oh,
yeah. So I have a couch and then I have my chair. I don't have anything in between because when I like to ask clients like why, if they say like I had a therapist before and I hated it, I love to ask why. And a common theme was I hated talking to somebody over a desk. It made me feel like I was in the principal's office. And I'm like, so I don't have anything in between us. Sometimes I do that. Sometimes I sit on the floor if my client wants to
mhm.
sit on the floor. I have one client that loves to stretch the entire session, and I'm like, okay, girl, whatever you want. So we'll like sit on the floor and do stretches, or I have kids and we're just running around on the floor. Like, It's whatever.
You also have, and I've kind of adopted this from you, of like different readily accessible craft things
Mm,
or creativity. So, like, if someone wanted to color or they wanted to draw or they wanted to talk and do a puzzle, like, you have those things kind of laid out where it's not like, okay, this is what you want to do. We have to get out all of this supplies. It's there.
mhm. And that's also helpful for both my kids and my grown-ups that I see,
Mhm.
because being a grown-up sucks, and it's hard, and I have so many grown-ups that come into my office, and they'll see, like, a fidget that a kid was playing with or a craft that somebody was doing, and they're like, "Kinda wanna do that," and I'm like, "Yes, let's do it."
Mhm.
So I actually my kid stuff gets used by grown-ups a lot, and it's so nice. I love
Yeah.
doing that stuff too. I love making rubber band bracelets, and I have my crocheting stuff. Literally, I had a whole session where we were both crocheting and talking at the same time. It was
Mhm.
lovely.
We also both have stickers in our office as well, and I tend to see people kind of gravitate towards that and talk while they're like looking for a fun sticker as well.
Yes, I'm so guilty because I ran out of stickers, and somebody the other day was like, "Can I pick a sticker?" So I have to get more stickers. But yeah, it's always fun. Like something distracting will like do that. But yeah, so that's what you can expect when you walk into my office. And then I feel like we do first appointments pretty similar. The whole point is not to like dive in, right? Honestly, I'm going to like double check everything like phone number, address, date of birth, make sure all of that's in there correctly, emergency contact stuff. Cause you never know. Like our referral person could have just like totally dropped the ball and just messed everything up. He does that.
That's
No,
happened.
I'm just kidding. Justin does our referrals. Okay. So, but yeah, I'm just like, I double check everything. And literally, my goal is to make you want to come back. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all I'm looking to get out of that first appointment is to make you want to come back for your next appointment because we've all been there in our first appointments. They're nerve wracking.
Mhm. And so I tend to try and give the person that I'm meeting with as much control as possible within
Mhm.
that to, okay, what do you want to bring up today? Do you have anything that you specifically just need to get out today? Is there anything you have any questions about, any concerns, I go over letting them know that it's a judgment-free zone, that this is a safe space for them, that it is not something to be concerned about. You can show up as is, how you are. And I try to be very mindful that this is uncomfortable
Mhm.
for people, especially if we've never done this before. Even more so with adults. I think adults tend to struggle a little bit more than kids because kids
Oh,
are so
yeah.
adaptable. Like adults have so much of like maybe a stigma that they've heard or just their own misconceptions about what it's going to be. I really try to give it to them as much as possible.
Teenagers. That's mine.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are the most
Mhm.
guarded because they're not kids,
Right.
but they're not adults. So they know that like I'm an adult, they're a teenager. The adults in their life, like there's a reason they're coming to therapy and let's just be transparent. A lot of times it has to do with the adults in their lives.
Mhm.
So I find building rapport and stuff is that's the clientele that is not even the most difficult because I love my teens, but definitely the one that takes the most time.
That engagement process
Mhm.
seems like it's a little bit harder to break the ice. That makes so much sense.
Okay, so like I gain their trust slower, which is totally fine.
Yeah.
But I feel like, yeah, that's how I want to phrase it. Is I gain their trust slower over more time
Yeah.
because they're so hesitant because it's like, you're an adult.
Yeah. We also go over consents and like expectations in the first appointment as well. And that provides like a pretty clear framework of like what it's going to look like. And it provides an opportunity for any questions. And another thing with that is it's an opportunity to really identify what is going to be shared and what's not going to be shared.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a big thing that I do, and a lot of times when I have my teens and my kids, I actually involve their guardian in the
Mhm.
first appointment, at least the first half of the appointment. Well, first of all, the parents have to do the consents and stuff,
Yeah.
but also it's so important that I talk about confidentiality with both of them. So that way everybody understands that even though they are a minor, you cannot know what is said in session.
You know,
and it is confidential. And I give them the exceptions to that. But that's really important for me too.
I learned from you when I first started, like, the best way of doing that with kids because I had never worked with kids really prior to, and that was something that I was so nervous about because I didn't know how to communicate that. So you have done it in such a clear way that it obviously if there's questions you answer them, but it's so direct, which is so beneficial. There's not like a gray area in that.
Yeah. Nope. Like you said, I'm very direct. Like, I tell the parents and the person right then, like, I will not share what happens in session. It doesn't matter if
Mm,
it's a big breakthrough. It doesn't matter if it's a little teeny fact. I will not share it unless the client specifically is like, can you tell my mom this? I don't want to tell. Like, if they give me express permission, yeah. But otherwise, do not ask me what is said in session. I will not be able to tell you. And that's not me being a jerk. That's me following our code of ethics.
yeah. So now we've gotten a better understanding of kind of what our offices look like and how we kind of do that first session. Again, knowing that every therapy office, every setting is a little bit different. And there's many times difference in setting from like a community clinic versus private practice versus a treatment center. Like they're all going to look very different. And that's where we both work in private practice. And there's so much question around that as well. And to kind of break that, it's a environment that is encouraging and empowering.
I just think it feels less clinically.
Yeah.
Like, you're not gonna walk in and automatically just be, like, assessed every time, and
Yes. We're not running through 15 screenings for the entirety of your appointment. We get to really dive in and do the work that you're willing to do. That's another piece, is that it is very much driven by the person that is coming to the appointment,
mhm.
what you guys want to work on.
Yeah. Well, I know that in addition to people saying like, "Oh, this is not what I expected." I like to ask people like, "Well, what did you expect?" Or what are some things that you think you know about therapy? And there are a lot of very common misconceptions about therapy. So we wanted to cover some of the big ones that we have heard. And I know one of the biggest ones for me is people are worried that there's going to be judgments, that we are going to judge them because what they did or said or how they live, is just the worst we've ever heard. And we're definitely going to judge them.
Not true.
It's not true at all. When Justin says, like, this is a judgment free zone, like, that is so true. First of all, I am like a hot mess express half the time. So, I know it's a lot with like parenting. Like, people get really upset that, like, I'm going to judge their parenting. They're nervous to say that they like snapped and they yelled at their kid. And
They had ice cream for dinner because they just didn't know what else to
oh
do,
my God. Yeah. Yeah. I just told them to eat cereal for dinner and make it themselves.
and it's okay.
And I'm like, "Yes, girl, promoting that independence." Like,
I didn't even realize kind of exactly what I was doing, but they had shared, something that like had caused shame for them. And they like stopped in the middle of it was like, you don't have a reaction. Like you're not grossed out by it. I was like, no, like it happens. I might have related it to the same thing. Like, and so that's something that I guess I didn't realize that I did. But I had tried to do was like make sure even like my facial expressions or body language is not judgmental.
mhm.
So,
I mean, I had somebody come in and they're like, "I have to tell you this awful thing that I did." And I'm like, "All right." And I'm sitting there and they're telling me, and in my head, I'm waiting for them to get to the part, that I'm just gonna be appalled by because it was so awful.
yeah.
And I'm like waiting and waiting and waiting. And then they stop talking and I'm just like, "Uh-huh." And they're like, "That's it." And I'm like, "Okay." And in my head, I want to just be like, that is not even close to the worst thing I've ever heard. But obviously I don't, because that would be very invalidating.
Right.
But just know, in my head, I'm like, we need to work on your definition of awful. Like,
And as humans, we tend to make things much more catastrophe in our head. And then sometimes, even once we share it out loud, we gain the
mhm,
acknowledgement that it's not as bad as we made it in our head.
mhm,
So, even just that part of it showing up. Okay.
yes.
So, judgment free zone, it is a safe space. We can say, we can feel whatever way you need to, as long as it doesn't directly harm someone and feel. And express whatever way you need to. So I think that's something that many times is a misconception with this of like how we're supposed to act.
Mhm.
Swearing is another one.
Oh,
I allow swearing as long as it's like within context and not at me, even sometimes with kids. But
I do.
yeah,
I do, and every once in a while, if that is the problem that we're trying to work on, that's a little bit different. Like, if
yeah,
their problem is that they are swearing at school,
mhm,
I'm not just gonna let it be a free for all where you're just dropping F bombs left and right. Like,
there's limits.
well, because, like, that's what we're working
Mm.
towards. So in that situation, no. But, oh my gosh, how many times have people, like, sworn in session and been like, "I'm so sorry," and I'm just like, "For what? Oh, no, my little virgin ears." Yeah, I feel okay, so going back to, like, building rapport with teenagers, okay, I feel it out, but sometimes I swear just to make them feel more comfortable. Like, they'll, like, say something, and I'll just say, like, "Doesn't that piss you off? Like, are you not pissed right now?" And it's kinda like, "Whoa, my therapist just swore."
They're human.
And then they're like, "Yeah, but he is pissed." And I'm like, "Yeah." And then it opens those doors because it's
Yeah.
like, "No, you can talk to me like a normal person. You don't have to, like, you don't have to when you go somewhere with your mom and she's like, 'Make eye contact and don't use bad words.'" Like, no.
Right. You could literally not look at me the entire session.
Mhm,
You could look down, we could listen to music. Sometimes we don't even have to talk the whole time.
mhm.
There's been times where I've literally had someone draw and for a period of time and then tell me what that meant, why they drew it. Like it is low pressure.
Yes. That's funny because that's another misconception that people have is like that they have to talk or they have to come with something to talk
Mhm.
about. And I've had people apologize once. We really need to work on over apologizing. But I've had people apologize again, like, "I'm sorry, I don't have anything to talk about."
Those tend to be the best sessions.
I love it.
Like we explore so much more when we're not in crisis and we're like, I don't think I have anything to talk about. Those have been some of the most beneficial sessions
Let's
I've had.
explore your childhood. No, but if there's nothing present that is like really on your mind, like it really is a good way to like explore other
Mhm.
things that we maybe haven't had the opportunity to explore yet.
Yeah.
So go to therapy, say, "I'm chilling. I got nothing to talk about."
We'll
It's
find it.
okay. Yeah, we'll find something. No,
Promise.
but it's funny because then they leave, like they'll talk, 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 and then they'll leave. And I'm like, "Well, sorry, we didn't have anything to talk about today. Like, I learned so much more about you."
Right. So another thing that I've had people come in and say is that they're concerned about like having to put everything out and like dive into the deepest trauma in the first session. No,
Totally can if you're
you
good.
can.
You can. I've had people sit down and I've said like, "Hi, I'm Challee," and they will just be like, "When I was 6, I've never," and I'm like, "Yes, okay, tell me."
That's
Yeah,
true. Like
but you
that's
don't have to.
you don't have to. And when that does happen, but it's something that many times we can work towards because we want to make sure that you're safe and being able to be comfortable bringing that up. I never want to force someone to bring trauma up or stressful or challenging events. I want you to feel comfortable doing that because the process of working through it, we have to feel safe.
Mhm. Yes, definitely. So, but if we're not bringing things up fast enough for you, let us know.
Mhm.
Because I mean, at least for me, I try to go at my client's pace, but sometimes they think they're going at my pace. And so then we end up just kind of jogging next to each other, going at
And
each other's pace. So, yeah.
and that's where bringing it to the first session, you get to kind of bring what you want. And that's, you have the freedom to do that any of the sessions, but the first one really tends to be much less pressure because there's no expectation. You could come in and just talk about how your day went, and we can go over verifying your information and just get a feel for each other. That's
Mhm.
really what those first sessions are for, is kind of building that rapport. I don't expect you to open up to a stranger. I mean, I tend to. But I wouldn't expect anybody to open up to a stranger. This is your first time meeting me.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so before we end, I'm going to quiz Justin because it's my favorite thing to do. So I found some myth or fact. So you have to tell me if it's a myth or a fact, okay?
Okay.
All right,
Nice. Wow.
let's see. My therapist can read my mind.
Myth.
I wish. I can tell my therapist that I don't like an exercise they suggested.
Fact. Heck yeah.
If you ever tell me that you don't like something that I did, I will praise you so hardcore because that is so
Mhm.
hard to tell somebody is like, I really didn't
Yeah.
like that exercise you did. I will build you up so hard. So don't ever. And
Like,
also, if you don't like something that we did, it's important to know why.
yeah.
Did it make you so uncomfortable and like to talk through it? So, like, we want to know.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
I can cry during therapy.
True.
I can laugh during therapy.
True.
Yeah.
I hope so. Laughter is music to the soul.
Ooh, I can tell my therapist they're not a good fit.
Yeah. Fact.
Mhm.
I really encourage that. That is one to like debunk through and through. Like, that's sometimes what prevents someone ever going back to therapy. Like,
Yes.
we're not right for everybody. I know I'm not right for
I'm
every
not
person.
everybody's cup of tea, believe it or not.
And that's okay.
Mhm.
That is A-okay.
Yes. But the good thing is, like, if you let us know, again, I will be like, girl, that was such a hard conversation to have.
Mhm.
Like, you are such a freaking rock star. Why don't you tell me a little bit more? And maybe we can find somebody else, like within the practice or,
Huh?
a therapist in the community that we know that we could match you up with that would be a better fit.
Because we also don't want it to be triggering,
Mhm.
because we don't wanna do harm. That is our goal, is to do no harm, and if you don't say something and maybe we're triggering, even if we remind you of an ex or a
Mhm.
parent, we don't wanna cause harm.
Honestly, if you like call or text or whatever and you're like, it's just not the vibe, I would be like, okay, I get that. Like sometimes it's just not the vibe. It's
Yeah.
totally fine. Therapists have heard worse.
True.
So this one is marked as usually fact because we can't say it's a fact all the time.
Right.
But I do have to tell you, after being in this field for years and years, like I've probably heard worse.
Yeah.
You're safe. You're safe with me. Oh, we already talked about this one. I have to talk the whole hour.
Myth. No,
Myth.
you could talk 5 minutes.
It's okay to be nervous at the first session.
Fact. Heck yeah. It'd be weird if you weren't.
This is top secret, so don't tell anybody. But after doing this for years, I still get nervous going into a first session.
Yeah.
I do. I think I always will. Like I'm always nervous meeting a new client. So if you're
Excellent.
nervous, it makes me feel better. We could be
Yeah.
nervous together. Let's see. Therapists secretly judge clients.
Myth.
Secretly, I'm secretly judging you. Yeah, that's definitely a myth.
Judgment free, and we mean it.
That's the thing, is like we really do mean it. Like I am so honored that you are trusting me to help you on this journey. Like I'm not going to judge you
Right.
unless like I will positively judge you and be like you're amazing for doing this.
Mhm.
I can ask my therapist questions too.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Heck yeah. I love that.
Yes, I love being asked questions, whether it's questions about me, questions about therapy. You can ask me anything. I am confident and comfortable enough to be able to say if I don't want to answer a question.
Mm,
And I like to use that as a framework in case you don't want to answer a question. So, like,
mhm.
if you ask me a question and I'm like, I don't feel comfortable sharing that. If I ask you a question, then you can now say, like,
The boundaries.
yeah. So we kind of build boundaries.
Yeah.
So just as like a closing thought for our listeners slash viewers is what is one thing you wish someone had told you about therapy before you went to therapy? Please answer this question. I
Oh,
really, really want to know.
I would love to hear that.
Yes.
All right. That wraps us up. Thank you so much, guys.
Bye.